Hi, welcome to Happy Hour with Ruth
and Roxy. Thanks for joining us today. I think this is going to be a fun one because look what's behind us. Sunshine.
Sunshine.
So we are happy.
We are happy, and the door is open, and it's a little cold, but it's not freezing.
No, it's nice. It's nice. Not, quite sunbathing weather yet, but...
No. Well, I mean, hey, all of a sudden the iPad randomly came on. Can you smack that?
Work week is over, but not...
There.
Okay. That was
There's
funny.
a ghost in the house.
Yes.
Yes. So what are we drinking today, Roxanne?
So today...
Look at our pretty glasses.
Isn't that, the glasses are just
aren't
lovely.
They beautiful?
Cheers.
These are cheers.
These are delicate cheers
These
glasses.
were my parents. They bought a set of these wine glasses for their fancy times.
Oh,
so
that's I got a drink.
Well, we're not supposed to
bad
drink
luck.
at the same time because we leave you sitting in silence for those just on audio. But
so today we are drinking the good Rosé. Does that show up there? I think it does.
From Saintly, which is an Okanagan Winery.
Mm-hmm. And it says it's the perfect balance of dry, fresh, and fruity. It's saintly, so you don't have to be. Well, that's
which
good.
is a good thing, right? Like,
and
seriously,
it is good.
It is really good,
It's nice.
and it's perfect for a sunny day, right?
It
As
is.
we're getting into spring and summer weather,
Yep.
we'll be leaning into more rosés and whites.
Did we buy that in? I think we bought that
at the
that round thing.
Yeah.
We'll explain.
We will find
that
out what
in the
it
show
is.
notes.
It is. The Okanagan has you go and I think there's about a dozen at least, maybe more wineries that are they have sort of showrooms there, and I think we did buy that there, but yes,
it's good.
It is very good. Okay.
I like it.
Okay, so what are we going to talk? Oh, I have to do the cliffhanger.
Oh yes, that's right, you do.
Yes.
So last week we left you with what was Julia Child's first big recipe.
Yes.
Julia Child, known mostly for French cooking.
So she did the joy of French cooking, but all of it's French cooking, and there's books about her and miniseries. Julia is something about her. Like there's so many things. I mean, she is absolutely iconic, and I didn't know this, but before she became Julia Child, the French chef, she actually worked for the precursor for the CIA.
Oh, wow!
And she was there, and certainly. She rose up the ranks, and that's how she ended up meeting Paul Child, her husband. But before that, she was a part of a department that there were challenges with when things happened out in the ocean with shark attacks. And for over, I think it's an 18-month period, there had been 10 or 12 shark attacks of military, right? They're in the water, like something's happened, they're in the water, or they're out like diving to do something.
Like Navy SEALs.
And so she was a part of the team that she there were 20 attacks, and it was World War II. So that there were 20 shark attacks the first 18 months of the war, and the Navy was looking for a shark repellent, and she worked with people that created a shark repellent that there's a whole lot of stuff online about, it was only 60% effective, but if I was in the water, 60% would be better than nothing, right?
A lot better than zero.
Yeah. And she did. So she did.
Still not good enough, though.
No, that's true. But it's a really cool thing that she did, and the fact that she was with, and she lived all over the world as a part of this. Like she was, I don't know if they call them diplomats, but she was a part of the intelligence community, and she lived all over the world. How she met Paul Child, who was also in the diplomatic corps, stuff like that.
Okay.
But look at like the life she had before that. And then to decide that she was going to become this person that brought French cooking to America, right?
Yeah.
Like it was
Cooking
just
must
really
have
interesting.
been a through line for her.
Yeah, it really must have been, right? Yeah.
Wow.
So, but interesting, right?
That is
and also
interesting.
here it's again a woman that, and she actually tried to sign up to be in the military, but apparently she was quite tall, and she was too tall.
She was too tall for the military.
Woman.
A woman in the military. Oh, that's interesting.
Right. So that's something else for us to look at. But if you know anything about her, because I'm fascinated by her.
Well, of course you are, because you cook.
Yeah. And also
and
now
you like
and sharks. Right? So clearly Julia and I are soulmates.
Who thought those two things would ever go together? Not I. I like to eat, and I don't like sharks. I mean, I like them. I will not be in the water
From
with
far
them.
away.
Yeah, completely. I watch Jaws, and read the book at an impressionable age, apparently.
I still sometimes in the bathtub you can hear that music kind of, right?
Oh yeah, in the bathtub.
I'm serious. Like in pools, and I just saw a meme the other day, and it was like my childhood fear, and it was like somebody had photoshopped a shark into like what was clearly a public pool. But that's just it. Like even in a lake where there's no sharks, it's like,
oh, there's other stuff in a lake.
Okay, so let me tell you this story quickly, even though I'm going way off script again. No, so back in the day, my parents had a cottage, and I had a really good friend who went to the cottage with us a lot, and we had friends from New York come up. My friend Moppy and our friend Jerry came up, and we were out, and we were trying. It was early wakeboarding because wakeboards weren't around then. We had a surfboard, and we were trying to stay on the surfboard behind a ski boat.
Okay.
And honestly, you can't do it. Like you get pulled off by the momentum. But every time this friend kept falling in, and she'd like scramble to get back on the board. And like we're in a freshwater lake in Ontario, right? So it was like, well, what's the matter with you? And she said, well, I'm kind of afraid of the piranhas. Well, apparently the weekend before, my parents, my dad had said to her, like they were just talking, and he's like, you guys need to be careful, like when you're out water skiing and stuff, because somebody let like an aquarium full of piranhas into the lake, and they've grown. Gosh. And she believed him. Gosh. She believed him for years, right? Gosh. And so it was like, and so we were just like, what's the matter with you? And she was like, well, the piranhas.
Okay, so there's a question though. The piranhas are in the Amazon River.
Yeah.
So the river.
I'm not saying we're bright.
Well, but if the Amazon River is fresh water, which I think it's a mixture, because
right.
I think
and they probably,
you don't come onto this podcast for facts, okay?
No,
so
that's a Google.
But here's the thing though, if they survive, I would have been like her. Well, why could it's
probably too cold?
It would be
too
cold.
But they might. But that's just it. They might have. And I don't think when somebody says that to you, like, so here's a person that.
You don't logic it out.
No, and. And as soon as you get in the water, even if at first when he said it, you might be like, yeah, whatever. Then you're in the water and it's like, was he kidding?
Yeah.
Right? And then if nobody ever says, and I'm sure my dad and my mom kept it up because they were kind of jokesters. Mm-hmm. But it is one of those where it was like, all of us have that thing. I can remember being a little kid and going out in a fishing boat, and my grandmother was like, come out in the fishing boat, and we're out there fishing because we'd fish for dinner at this at the cottage and stuff. And then all of a sudden, something wet would be on your leg because she would have seen seaweed at the top, and then she just quietly put it on your leg. And you're a kid, like you're almost out of the boat. And and we knew about there was a myth about the Lady of the Lake.
Oh
right?
Yeah,
right. And it was like, adults were mean.
Adults are mean. We still are.
Yeah.
Oh, we did terrible things to our little brother, and I hope he doesn't remember any of them. But I mean, I'm the oldest, so I did terrible things to both of them.
See?
And we'll just end it right there.
My friends, when I think I told you this, when I worked at McLean's, I would work late and they'd all go to the bar, right? And I was there usually, I'd be there till midnight or something, and they'd get home, they would go home from the bar just before I got there. And several of them, I had this big, beautiful brass bed, several of them would go under the bed and be quiet and wait until I came in the room, and then they would grab my foot.
No.
Right?
No.
Right? The first time was really funny. And after that, you like, then you kick.
Okay. Do you want to hear a story? This didn't happen to me, but I've heard of this through other people who grew up in fairly religious backgrounds, going to church camp or Bibles. I think this was probably Bible school stories, not the Bible school I went to, but they would
take notes. She went to Bible school.
These people would. So most people who are listening probably know about the theology of the end times, right? Where the Christians will be raptured up, and then the years of tribulation will happen here on earth. Anyway, so
we might be in them.
Long conversation we're not getting into now. But people would do things like, one person would be sleeping later than the others, so the rest of them, they would leave like their shoes and their pants like rolled as if they just stepped out of them, and their shirt, and then they would all leave. So this person would get up and she'd be looking at, she's like,
they all got taken.
The rapture occurred, and I wasn't taken. And they tortured, like, I mean, it doesn't take long to figure out that's not true, but Like, what did I thought I was.
But can you imagine,
I thought I was
especially if you were like a real believer?
Yes.
Right? Like that
That
you
is
really
so mean.
It is really that is
But also
mean.
really
It
funny.
is really funny. It is very funny. Very funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good. So we were talking last night, because we don't just spend time together on the podcast. And we were talking a bit about mental health and how important that is. And we were thinking about maybe doing some themes, sort of so that you know what you're getting when you come into this, right? But one of the things, like, mental health is so important, and there are big things you can do for your mental health, and yet there are also small things. But I also think it's really good to talk about it, because it destigmatizes it. Because I recently went through this winter was a dark period, right? And my anxiety was, and I'm a worrier anyway, right? And so I went to the doctor, and I have this great new doctor who when I said all the things, she's like, have you ever thought about and taking these pills? And I guess what are they, Roxanne?
They're in the antidepressant class,
Yeah.
and yours it's a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's but honestly, my life has changed. Like, at one point when they started to kick in and do stuff, it was like, oh, this is how everybody else sees the world, right? They're not always like, I have plan B and C and D running in the back for everything. I mean, we go to a restaurant and it's full. My thing is like, okay, what's close? Where can we go? The average person is like, what do you mean it's full? And I'm already like planning my exit strategy.
Which is a real, that's another thing you have in common with my husband, right? We laugh and we joke about him being a worst case scenario guy, but there's a level of control and responsibility in him and in you that it's a little bit outside the average person, right?
Yeah.
And it's weird though when all of a sudden you don't feel that anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, what? Somebody just turned the lights on.
Yeah.
I can see.
Yeah.
But that is honestly a big part of why we started doing Happy Hour with Ruth and Roxy.
Yeah.
To talk about stuff that maybe people are uncomfortable. Maybe they just, you have to have the right audience to talk about, to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right? And talking about areas of mental unwellness is a very vulnerable area.
Yeah. And I think at least for me, I mean, this happened, and I've done other things. I did all sorts of, I did tapping, which actually really did help me. And,
I remember that.
And I meditation and the workouts, like exercise, especially the VR, and we've talked about how great the coaches are. Like, there's a magic to that's equal. Like, when I go to work out, it's like, hey, I'm glad to work out for the physical health, but I'm also really happy to work out for my mental health. But I also think you get to a certain age, and you think
29, as she likes to say.
I say 21, but you just aged me 8 years, but that's okay. But I also think you get to a certain age, and you want to talk about it, because maybe you can, because nobody used to talk about it, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
And so maybe we can make the path a little easier for somebody who's feeling it, and to know you can go to the doctor and ask.
Yeah. And you don't even, there's a huge, I've been on medication for a lot of years, starting with a bad postpartum depression that I take issue with that label.
Right.
Because my thinking is, you take a person, a human, any human, and you remove them from their normal life, you flood them with hormones, you put them through a physically very, very difficult and challenging thing, and then you sleep deprive them for a year, and deprive them of their daily their livelihood or their usual routine. Well, make them responsible for something that is incredibly hard and incredibly meaningful, and with no support,
and incredibly dependent.
Yes.
Right. Like the thing is, it's not. You're not talking about a puppy who in 8 weeks can walk, right? Like, but the other side from that is also the social circle.
That's the thing.
You tend to probably be with, and I don't know, because I've not had kids, but the social circle changes, because then you're only talking to other mums, right? Like, and not
it changes,
that's
and
bad.
it can shrink.
Well, that's just it. And also, you don't necessarily have time for all the things, because you're kind of saying, hey, how do you handle this?
Yep. You probably have money problems.
Yeah.
Right. All the things. So having a kid is just a piece of that. right? So I was dealing with the loss of a whole bunch of other things that came along with this amazing, incredible. I loved having children. I loved being a mom in those baby years. They were so great for me, but they were also really hard. And that's something that's also hard to talk about, because it's like you've been given this incredible gift, this thing that you didn't even know you wanted. Maybe you did know you wanted it, right? But this thing that is the most joyful thing, the most love that you might ever feel. And sometimes you're like, I feel so guilty for not being happy. I feel so guilty for not being happy. And that guilt is normal. It's natural. And right? Because we have great lives, right? So why are we worried about things? Why are we sad about things? What do we have to complain about?
Right.
And that is the thing that a lot of people are like, I can't talk I'm just going to put on a good face and pretend that everything's fine, because everything is fine. Right. It's just not fine here.
And it's relative and contextual, and there's all the, and so I'm trying to remember who said it to me, because honestly, my problems are first world problems. Right?
Totally.
But there is a fly, which is a sign of summer, just saying. So
it's always summer in my house then.
but it's okay, because I think, and one of the things I want to talk a bit for me about how travel helps, and mine is mostly anxiety. I have some down times. Mine tend to, it's not big depression like some people, deep depression some people deal with, but I also think it's context, because sometimes you travel and you see how much harder other people have it. So and I do remind myself, right? I do remind myself that there are people that aspire to live the life I'm so lucky to live. But the other side is it's context. Because the others have it harder doesn't mean that you don't feel the things.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And it doesn't. Yeah. You're denying that feeling doesn't make their life any better. No. Right? Like, and that's just it. We have to remember. The same as you have to think when you go out on safari, if you happen to see a kill, you have to think that's not my pain. Yeah. We all do everything within our scope, I hope, that to help others who are not as fortunate. But the other side is, it's okay to feel like crap and have a fridge full of food. Right? And a roof over your head and money in the bank. And the challenge is sometimes we're learning how hard it is for some in the world. So I think there's a guilt that comes with doing well and then thinking, oh, today sucks.
But you know what? You can't be, it's like the advice when you get on a plane, put your own oxygen mask on first. You can't help anybody else if you are not okay yourself. You can't. Yeah. And you can become a drag on other people. Yeah. Right? Because here's the thing, depression is contagious. It is a contagious disease. Yeah. Nobody wants to be around depressed people. And people that live with depressed people tend to be depressed. And I don't know if it works the same way with anxiety primarily, but it's no fun being around somebody who hates himself and hates their life. Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking because you see like the person has this huge struggle and you can't be helped. Right? Yeah. And so just so you know, these are little tiny glasses, people. If you see us filling, they are tiny. They're olden days tiny. But I also think, I think about it. So my baseline absolutely is not, I'm a pretty happy, positive human.
You are.
My baseline is not that. I had to work on that.
Yeah.
Right? Because honestly, so it's partly what makes me good in communications and issues, because I do see the worst case scenario. Yes. Right? And so I can see it's like, if we can manage, if we figure out what to do if this happens, then everything else is easier. But the other side of that is I had to change it around, because my first reaction to everything is like, what's the cost to that? What's the string attached to that? Yeah. And so I had to retrain my brain. Yeah. Right? And it took, honestly, I still have to be vigilant, especially sometimes that I just have to always, quite often Paul and I talk about things and we feel it when this fly really likes us.
It really does. I think it's the wine.
But we, it was a great vacation, but, that was a good party, but, and so we've disallowed the but in our house because say the full sentence about why it was great.
Yes.
And a lot of the stuff that isn't great is just your freaking personal opinion anyway. And it's probably not that, I might come back and there were a lot of people somewhere, which isn't necessarily my thing.
Kill that thing.
but it's not necessarily my thing. But it'd be like, yeah, that was really fun. But there was a lot of people. So now that was really fun. It was a lot of people for me.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But you
Two
can
separate things.
And two things can be true.
Two things
but you
can be
don't
true.
have to. But by saying but, you negate the first.
That's it. Yeah, that's exactly right. We're going to call this one the one with the fly.
But I say but a lot, and we've banned it from our house. There are other things too to think of, like, I love going to sleep. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like, there's joy in so many little things if you look for it, right?
And when you are suffering anxiety, how's your sleep?
Well, I have gummies.
Okay, so maybe that's not. So what for me, I have a couple of indicators that I know means I might be heading towards a bit of a downtime or a dangerous time. And so I am a quadruple Scorpio, and with like sun and moon. So Scorpio is like dark. I want to know the secrets. Don't get on my bad side, man. It's like, and there's a lot of intensity.
I love you, Roxy.
Yes, you do. Scorpio's all about intensity, right?
Right.
So for me, intensity in the difficult things is easier to accept than intensity in the great things, because the great things might come with boastfulness or pride or things
Right.
that, I grew up thinking that were bad.
Right.
So you don't want to make other people feel bad by talking about how good you are. So you don't do that. So it's okay to focus on the bad things, maybe not okay to focus on the good things. So
Right.
for me, that's like a doorway into a dark, dark place.
Right.
So
that's so interesting.
And my sleep is affected. So usually I can't sleep. So
Right.
I've had years of insomnia, years where I go to bed and I'm like, what am I going to do tonight when I'm not sleeping?
Right.
And I've listened to a lot of audiobooks and stuff, but I know that is a signal. And then I also have specific dreams.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I have specific dreams that when I dream they're recurring dreams that have been through 40 years going on, that I know,
Which is weird because she's only 29.
It means something. It means I need to pay attention to something.
Right.
I've also had dream, I don't know what to call them, guides maybe, some people that have shown up that I know are connected to people in my real life who I needed for a period of time. And then I didn't need them anymore, and the dream stopped.
Oh, interesting,
And
hey?
yeah. So it's for years I kept a dream journal, and I started to see these patterns, and I connected them with what was going on in my emotional life, and realized that my head was trying to tell me something.
Right.
Right.
That's interesting, right? And I think, so when I was a little kid, the stories my parents told was, so my older sister never wanted to go to bed. Like she was like always trying to stay up late. And I was like, an hour or 2 hours before my bedtime, I'd be like, bed, right? And so I've never really had a problem sleeping until I have restless leg syndrome. That's a problem. But the thing is, when you really want to sleep and you have restless leg, that's when the demons come to play.
Oh,
right?
yes.
That's when everything that you've ever said to anybody that was maybe a bit weird or off or socially awkward comes back.
Did I really say that? Did they hear me?
Yeah,
no.
But, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like, maybe that was a missed opportunity. Like all these things. And I still have. There's a period, because I get up quite early, but there's a period.
Really early.
But there's a period about 15 minutes before I'm fully awake until about I turn the coffee maker on, which is a soothing sound to me. But where I have, like, honestly, it will be things like, even we're having some people over to do karaoke and stuff tomorrow night, and even then it will be like I have this half-hour period where I wake up and it's like, I'm canceling it. I don't like anybody. I'm staying home. That's it. Blah blah blah. But the good thing is because work on myself and now medication and gummies that help you. I am aware, so I kind of so I have this committee in my head, and some are really encouraging and lovely and say you can do anything, and some are like, what the hell were you thinking? Right? So I kind of let them talk, and then I say, thank you, I know you're trying to protect me.
Ooh.
But the thing is, I like the people we've invited, and they're still invited, so we're not canceling. But there were times back in the day when I'd cancel.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've contained it to half an hour now, and I'm fully aware.
Okay.
Right? So self-awareness.
Interesting.
Also, honestly, decades of on and off therapy.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
When we've said this before, and we'll keep on saying it.
Therapy's good.
Find somebody you trust to talk to about this stuff. And you might have to go through a few. Because and that's partly what we're doing here, is even just talking about it with anybody. Like, talk with a professional. Don't. That is not us.
No. But also understand.
But talking about it with anybody helps.
Yeah. Right? Shedding light on it. And you'll have different therapists for different stages of your life or different problems.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's really it's really important to demystify that and to destigmatize that. Worth every freaking penny. So I was thinking about, talking about this, and I was thinking that the two things beyond you and I being able to really go deep about stuff because we talk about it. Therapy and music for me, right, are the things.
Okay.
Because there are certain songs that Jimmy Buffett songs, a lot of them, even his sad ones, bring me joy, right? Because his sad songs have some kind of good message about life in them, right? Even when they're heartbroken songs. And then his funny songs are just about, having fun and beaches and margaritas. But music is something that soothes my soul. And I think for many people that's it. And it's why I kind of, my husband Paul listens to really heavy metal stuff, and he's like
snake things and death things and choke yourself.
It's just
things.
Loud,
like
awful. Like it's and the lyrics are the singer sounds.
The lyrics
angry,
actually aren't always as bad.
But
as
the
you
singer
think they are.
sounds angry.
Oh, very angry. Yeah.
But also like. He's a really nice guy, and he's actually pretty even keeled.
He's so
right?
not like what you would expect.
And
he looks like such a nice guy, and then he turns his music on, and it's like boom, boom.
I had to say to him about our karaoke
scary.
thing tomorrow. It's like, you have to sing songs people know.
Well, I'll help him with that. I got a couple new ones.
Good, that's good because he does. He sings these like awful heavy songs that everybody sounds like they're yelling and they're mad.
Yep.
We had a guy come in another house, but we were doing a bunch of renovations, and he's a friend of Paul's brother, and he's a really nice guy, and because we were on Sunshine Coast, he came and he stayed with us while he did the renos. But during the day, and we had offices at home, during the day, and he played like Howard Stern, and so I had to, and then he played this other like really like even heavier than Paul's music. So I had to like text Paul because he and I had different offices, and it was like, could you please tell him to turn that down because I'm going to murder someone. And I wasn't like I was going to kill him for playing it. It just made me murderous.
Oh yeah. Okay, this is where. So if you were with us last week, you might have seen the lovely interruption with my husband where he came in to show Ruth the earbuds that we had. That's what that guy needed. Those headphones that you can still hear what you're doing.
That was really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. I know. I haven't actually even tried them yet, but
so whoever makes those, Sony, whoever
Shocks, SHO.
I think we put it in the last link, but also I think you should sponsor us. Just saying.
Yep. Yeah.
But that's just it. And there's we actually even had a thing here which I really agreed with. We have a pool. We have 2 pools here in our community. That's community pools, and a vote went through and it passed that you have to wear earbuds, because honestly,
it seems intuitive
to go to the pool and listen to like if and Paul wouldn't because he's really courteous. Yeah. But let's say Paul was not, and he went and he played that music. Everybody would leave the pool.
Well, if anybody played their music out loud, like I can't imagine that. I mean, if you go there and you want to listen to music, of course you use your iPod and your AirPods, buds, pods, blah, the things, but apparently not everyone thinks that way. So you know what? I'm warm enough now. I can take off my.
Look, isn't that a beautiful top?
Okay, you know what? We'll take a little break and talk about Vibe now.
Okay, we can do that. Look, I have a Vibe thing on too.
You
I
do?
can take off my shawl too.
Okay, so this one's Vibe.
This is Vibe too.
And that's Vibe. Yep. I'm the same. This is Vibe. This lovely. So I was going to show you.
Nice?
The one thing that I didn't tell you about this is it's got these lovely sleeves where if you aim it the right way, you can see in your.
So you have to wear a t-shirt
you should
underneath.
Probably wear something underneath it. But I do have.
That's a nice top.
I have a Vibe t-shirt underneath it as well.
So Vibe, we love Vibe.
We love Vibe.
Good quality.
Yeah.
Great customer service.
Yeah. This is linen. That's Italian linen. This is Italian linen.
Yeah. That's and you know, they wash okay. I mean, they don't wash like polyester, but who wants to wear polyester?
Well, that's it. When you buy
I do really like that.
Slightly, I love this. I can't wait till the berry colored one arrives.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
But Vibe has really nice stuff. It's actually a bit of a problem.
When it arrived, my husband was complimenting me. He's like, "Oh, you look really nice." And I said, "Oh, these just arrived. I'm really happy about them." He says, "Yeah, they cost $192, right?" And I said, "What? What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, I saw the visa go through." I'm like, "Oh, shoot."
Dang.
And that was not the order. It was something else.
Yes.
But, you know.
But things they don't need to know about.
No.
Okay, so I do have something kind of funny. And that, first of all, sometimes you're anxious or down for a freaking reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes, and we're not talking about people who have extreme of any of this, right? Like we're talking.
This is kind of the garden
variety
of mental
it
illness
comes
sort of
and
thing.
goes,
Yeah.
and that's just it. Because people who have severe instances of this, that's definitely doctor talk, right? Like that's like you're not, if you have serious depression or serious anxiety, you're not going to cure it by a week of meditation. Like it's like that's not who we're talking to. That's when you definitely you need to talk to a doctor that sets you out a plan, right? Like that's.
I'd say it's like, well, what it is, it's literally trying to fix the organ that's broken with the organ that's broken.
Yeah.
When you try to talk yourself out of depression, your brain is wrong. Your brain is wrong. Your brain
and
is
it's
telling
chemistry.
you things. It's chemistry,
right?
Yeah.
Like that's like it's brain chemistry. It would be like if you were trying to make a soup, and you're making it with no liquid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like something needs a bump or needs to be pulled back or something. But so I was thinking about it because I was thinking about a few times I was anxious where I should have been anxious or I was down and I should have been down and I was thinking like sometimes you're down or anxious and for good reason. And then I saw this quote by William Gibson. Before you diagnose yourself with depression or low self-esteem, first make sure that you're not, in fact, just surrounding yourself with assholes.
Brilliant.
Right?
And this goes back to what I was talking about the postpartum depression thing. It's not that it's that sometimes circumstances will put you in a place where you're not happy, and you're not happy because you can't be happy in that situation.
Yeah.
If you're surrounded by assholes, you need to get out of that. If you are struggling with new motherhood, you need to find support.
Yeah.
It's not you.
Right. It's situational, but it comes to you and
it's like pain, right?
Yeah.
Pain tells you that something's wrong. You need to pay attention. You need to do something about this. Address
something
it.
is unbalanced.
And this is emotional or psychological pain. Something's not right.
Yeah.
The thing about that is that because the organ you're trying to work it through is the organ that's broken, you can't talk yourself out of it.
No, and
you can't fix it.
And you can't. I mean, certainly good self-talk and lots of things help you but if you're seeing a therapist, if you're seeing a medical because the other side of it is it's the same as if you went in and you were pre-diabetic or you were pre something. The doctor would say, here's what we're going to do, right? There's stuff to it. Like if it is a brain chemistry, it's just not doing the things it's supposed to do. That's a straightforward fix is you change your brain chemistry. Like that's not, it's one of those where it's like, that's not, you're not doing anything wrong.
No.
Your body isn't producing what you need to feel the things.
And once you've changed your brain chemistry, so here's the thing that I learned was that I had a lot of self-talk that was not helpful, and I wanted to change that, but I couldn't change it because the organ I was trying to do it with was broken.
Right.
I got on the medication, and then I could start to make new patterns.
Yeah.
I started to feel differently about problems, address problems differently. I was able to speak my mind more.
Yep.
And that allowed me to build new patterns, build new neural pathways.
Right, but that's just it.
So that the next, and eventually, I'm on very little medication now. I'll probably always be on something just because I want to feel good. But that's changed a lot. And I have been able to grow as a person.
Yeah.
Because of the chemistry change.
Well,
right?
and because we're not always fighting the natural chemistry in our body that is unbalanced, and that's part of it. So you get to work on the things to become your favorite self, like we said last week, right? So you get to work on all of that because you're not busy saying, why am I feeling like what's going on? Because all of a sudden then you get to like, it's calm. And I have to say, there's a part of it that it's like, because I can be a little manic's not quite the right
I'm
word.
excited to hear the end of this sentence.
But no, but I can be don't listen to anything she says. But I can be a little overly focused,
Okay.
right? Because it's not quite manic. But like there are times when we're maybe having a bigger event where I'll get up at 2 a.m. to do all the cooking, right?
Right.
And
Oh my gosh.
And when I choose to do and honestly, sometimes I don't really. It's kind of like Christmas for me though. Like I can't sleep, but not for. It's more like I got all this stuff to do, and I like cooking. But all of a sudden, when you get to kind of this point where you're just a little bit more even keel, right? And so I haven't had any callings to get up at 2 a.m. to make cinnamon buns, which I actually think people around me are a little sad about. But
nothing wrong with that one.
But the other side is like you might lose some of the highs, but for me, the highs were exhausting.
Yeah, that's it. Right. There's this, and everybody has to find what works for them, but it seems like there's kind of this range of mood change that is normal, whatever, or functional, whatever you want to call it. And once you start, I mean, there's diagnoses. There's they used to call it manic depression, bipolar disorder, right, where you get the really wild swings, and then different ones that get in between there. But you find what is kind of normal for you, and if medication can help keep you up. Why would you not want to be happy? If there's something that can make you look at life with a better outlook, why wouldn't you take that?
Well, and I think that's just it. And it's a bit like, without making it sound like you're high, but it's a bit like having a glass of wine. It takes for me, it kind of takes this edge off. So not every email, because we've built our entire company on being really responsive. So the first thing I do, I get up in the morning after I have the little talk with my mean self, is I check my emails, and I'm always like, oh God, what's going on? What's wrong? Because the truth is, if there was really something, if we had a client with a true issue, they'd phone me in the middle of the night because that's why they pay us, right? But I'm always like, oh my God, what's wrong? Or the other side is because we've kept scaling up in the work that we get to do. So sometimes we do really important work, and thank you to our clients for trusting us, but sometimes I wonder why they even thought I could do anything. but it's a worry, and now the worry isn't there because somehow with taking the edge off, I've also lost that I'm not good. And it doesn't mean I don't have imposter syndrome all the time, but I don't have that freaking grasp around my throat that I'm not good enough, right? Yeah. And I think anybody, and honestly, I fought, and I think you should take whatever medicine works for you. Tapping really did do a huge amount for me. Meditation did a huge amount. It didn't quite do enough, though. Yeah. At this stage of my life, it didn't do enough. And I wonder what would have happened if some doctor back in the day, when I told them, because I was always telling them, it's like, my brain, when my brain stops? When I'm on safari in Africa.
Oh, that's why you love it so much.
Or I'm in front of a slot machine.
Oh my gosh.
Which is both really freaking expensive. That's really expensive value, man.
Yep. That is.
But the thing is, because you know what? So in Africa, you live in the moment because it's so out of your norm, right? Yeah. But a slot machine is like that because you're just watching it spin. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, and every once in a while, a really good book takes me away. Yeah. But I have control, it's hard to explain, but I have control of that because at any moment I can put it down to check my email. Right. Yeah. But it is an interesting, because we all have our things. And I think you and I both, when we're having the harder times, we retreat in.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right. And even with each other, what we know when one of us is going through something, you go on the walk and you make sure that they know that you're here. But the timing has to be the person's, right? Like, that's right. You can't say, I'm here, you should talk to me. What's wrong? Are you okay? Because that's, good intentions.
Does not work.
No.
It just doesn't work. That's interesting. As you were talking about safari, I was trying to think of what might be mine. And for me, I would say it might be snorkeling. So when we haven't been to Hawaii for quite a few years. We've been probably 4 times, maybe 5. And for me, I love the water. I'm a Scorpio. I'm a water sign, right? The water is something about it is really healing for me. And being underwater where you can't hear anything.
Right.
And you can see, and now that I don't need to wear glasses anymore, I haven't been snorkeling since I don't need to wear glasses. So I have to get back out there. Because when I'm under the water and I'm watching the fish and all that, it is a different world. Time
Right.
stops.
Yeah.
My husband actually got really mad at me one time because we were in Hawaii and I got completely carried away because I was out there, and he doesn't feel the same way about the water that I do.
Yep.
So I snorkel along, pretty close to the beach. And he's just out there waiting for me to come in. And he's like, "Where were you?" And I said, "I don't know." He's like, "Yeah, I know, because I looked for you and I couldn't find you." And I'm
And then
walking
he
along the
started
beach, and then
worrying.
he started worrying. And I came in, and he was like, "Don't ever do that to me again." What did you weren't even part of this. Like,
Yeah.
it was such an out of the world experience for me. And I love that. But also, I don't want to get eaten by a shark, and I don't want him to think I've been eaten by a shark.
Right.
So,
Okay, for the record, my husband says stuff like that to me when I'm in the casino on the ship. Where were you?
Yes.
But I think it is, and we all find our own way. And I think it really is. It's important, especially these days, because I pay a lot of attention, especially to U.S. politics, I have to say. And you have to watch what you're taking in too,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I mean, I happen to have paid enough attention that I think Biden's going to win. I swear to God, people, these are little glasses. They're little delicate. Look at how big my hand is compared to my glass.
I'm just going to say this is 13%. That's nothing.
But the other thing is, I was thinking, because there was
U.S. politics is
it can really get to you,
Yeah.
right? Like, the other thing is, and I saw it, and I don't know if we've shared this or not before, but it's what a glimmer is, and it kind of goes to, instead of going to the worst case scenario, or go to the worst case scenario, but then look for the best case scenario, right?
Like, glimmer is the way I read it was
this.
it's the opposite of a trigger. So
Yeah.
a trigger is a thing you hear it and instantly you're thrown back
Yeah.
into whatever
Yeah.
scenario. It's not connected to the bad thing, but it makes you think
Right,
of the bad
it
thing.
makes you feel the bad thing.
Yeah,
And
but a
glimmers
glimmer-
are micro moments in your day that make you feel joy, happiness, peace, or gratitude. Once you train your brain to be on the lookout for glimmers, the more these tiny moments begin to appear. Mm-hmm. Right? And which goes back to, I know we've told you guys about Paul and I every morning saying our gratefuls.
you do.
Honestly, there are some mornings when it's like, we're really busy. Scruffy farted all night. Like, there's a whole thing. Paul snored, and I get up, and it's like, and my half hour mean one is just like, and we're walking, and we have a look at who she is. Look at sweet, but we have a thing where it's like even if it's like, I don't have any grateful, so I'm happy for pavement under my feet. And honestly, by the time you get to the fifth grateful, you're grateful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's because there are some days when it's like, I don't know, I'm mad at him about something, and the dogs are being difficult, and it's like, and I've invited people over, and Roxanne could reenact her, people coming over thing. But honestly, by the time you notice and you realize we live in a beautiful place. Mm-hmm. See,
it's allergy season. The allergy. So this is what. So yesterday I was over at your place and I choked on lemon water. Why? I have no idea why. That makes no sense. I choked myself last night before bed. I started coughing. Before I came over today, I was coughing, tears running down my face.
She gets
I'm like,
tears.
Awesome. That's great. I get to go on a podcast now and look like
when we need her to cry, we're gonna have to figure out how to choke her so that.
I can cry on
works
demand.
like that.
I can cry on demand. That's no problem.
Okay.
Let's go back and talk about imposter syndrome. That's such a so for creatives, that is just a persona we live with, right? I'm deep in it right now because this friggin' book is not coming together, and I gotta get it submitted before we go on vacation. So by the time this airs, it'll be done, the book will be in, we'll be on vacation, right? Yes. So we'll be on vacation whether the book is in or not.
No, it's going to
I'm
be
in control.
So
Will be.
that's
Will
fair.
be.
But the flip
Yeah.
side. So this is my third book with you now, right?
Okay. Since we met, yeah.
So and this is her creative process.
Yeah.
Is she goes through this, and the more she gets into imposter syndrome, I can't do this, whatever the hell, the actual book gets better. So I'm sad for that she's feeling this way, but her books are great, and they're great because you struggle so hard with them. Like, that's the challenge of it, right?
It is. And I know this is true of many many people who paint or write or sing or act. I mean, we've all heard the stories of performers who throw up before they go on stage, right? Like it is there's a fear of putting yourself out there and expressing yourself. And whatever you're doing, I mean, you're a writer, you know what this is like too. You put something out there on the page, it's out there. What are we doing right here? We're putting this out
in the world,
in the airwaves, in the, what do you call it
internet
now? In the internet, in the cyberspace.
Yes.
Like it's a vulnerable thing. And you're like, what the hell do we think we're doing?
But
writing a book, doing a podcast,
running a company, right?
Right?
Doing the things like we
wait till they find out who we really are. Then they'll laugh and laugh and drop
because
us.
but
No, of course not.
But that's just it. Like the other side is if you take the flip side to that, and honestly, we're doing plenty wrong with the podcast, but we're figuring it out as we go. But there are times when people say, "Oh, I listened to your podcast." Like our lovely hairstylist, who is like,
she's not even 30.
Oh my
She's
God,
a
she is
youngster.
so fabulous,
but she's so mature.
She's an old soul.
Oh yeah, she
right?
is.
But she is so amazing. And the last time I was there, and she was like, "Oh, I'm caught up on all the podcasts now." And I had this little thing where it was like, "Do you still like me?" Right? But it was.
But no, don't listen to them all.
But she is so. But she is such an amazing person, and she was like, "Yeah, it's really interesting, and I really like what you said about Lucille Ball." And so she's a youngin'. And so if she found things to resonate with, it's sort of this validation. But every time somebody in our little community says, "Oh, I listened to your podcast," like our friends that are coming tomorrow, Rich and Wanda, said, "Oh, we just listened to the podcast while we had dinner," and it was like, "Do you still want to be our friend?"
Why do you do that? But I've heard writers say things like, "Oh, don't read that crap."
Yeah,
I wrote it.
Yeah,
hey, you don't want to read that. And I have the same thing going on often. But I think there's a lot of things at play. We go through that. For me, like you said, I have a process. I go through the cycle. The cycle is very much like the hero's journey that we're always trying to implement in the story. And in the story, there has to be a dark night of the soul. And in my experience as a writer, there has to be a dark night of the soul for the writer while they're figuring out what is the thing that this book is trying to say. Because it kind of takes over and has a life of its own, except that I'm still in charge and I still have a deadline and they don't pay me if I don't put the book in. So, I kind of have to do it. But it's a weird juxtaposition.
It is, but in my experience, some of the most talented, skilled people I've ever met are the ones that question it the most. Honestly, as a reader, I can tell you which books I've read where the writer did not have a dark night of the soul,
right?
Because the book ends up boring,
right?
Because they were either they don't have that depth, or they were writing to meet a deadline, and it was like good enough. And I'm a big fan of good enough, because perfect is the enemy of done.
Absolutely,
right? But the other side is the reason your books keep me up nights, Roxanne, is because you're thinking through the story, and it's the same as a good TV show or a good movie is if it was too easy.
Yeah.
And I like some easy movies because sometimes like honestly, I mean, The Big Bang Theory, which I actually think is they're incredibly they were great
smart.
writers. It's really smart.
Very smart.
But you kind of like certain things that are lighter, but the stuff that stays with you.
Yeah.
Right. I think you have to. But honestly, every time I go in, we do some media training, and we're working on a couple of pretty big projects right now. And honestly, every time I go into media training, it's like, what the hell do I know? Why would they hire me?
Yeah.
Every time we get like a grown-up contract, it's kind of like, oh crap.
And yet, you know what? That is what everyone thinks. Right? That's what we all think. Like, we're all pedaling as fast as we can to be the best that we can in whatever world. So when we had our first daughter, X number of years ago, I can't even say that now.
3 numbers of years ago, because she's only 29.
Correct. Yes, I was a child bride.
So, but she grew up very fast. It was like Benjamin Button in reverse.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, amazing. We got into. I remember the first day. We came back to our apartment, and we kind of looked at each other like, well, now what? well, let's go out for a drive or a walk or something. So we went downstairs. We got into our Honda Accord hatchback, which we had until we had 3 kids. Terrible way to have 3 kids. 3 car seats in a hatchback. Not a great idea. I sat down. I put the baby on my lap against my chest in the chest carrier that I was using. And we got in and I buckled myself in. And then we looked at each other and went, something's wrong here. Oh, I think we're supposed to be using a car seat. And we're like, who allowed us to bring a child home? This is such a terrible idea. Like we had no knowledge. We were so ignorant like Stephanie, thank you for surviving us so far. but there you go,
and
right?
loving them, and Auntie Ruth, just saying.
Yes, and Auntie Ruth. But there's like, we felt like complete imposters because you do until you learn. And then you figure it out, and then you can do it.
Like I'm not, I certainly wouldn't want a surgeon or a pilot to like fake it till they make it. But the other thing is, at some point, we all feel that we're not, that somehow we got to the place. But I can tell you, the person that doesn't feel that is the one you have to be scared of.
Yeah.
So I've done lots and lots of media training in my day, and you know what I get sometimes? I've got this, I can wing it. And as soon as they say that, with a couple of exceptions, because right now we have a client and they're all really good with the media. They could use a bit of polishing, but they are naturally good, so it doesn't worry me as much. But there are some people, and I've had people where it's like, nah, I'm good. We had somebody one time who was like, I don't need media training, and we take them to an interview. It's a live breakfast TV interview, and they moved the camera away, but he was still on a hot mic, and he said a bad thing.
Oh, no.
And it was like, right?
Oh, no.
But there's like, but that's just it. The people that keep coming, and we've had some really high profile people, and their reaction always is, okay, we do media training, they do an interview, and then they come back and they're like, Ruth, how could I do better? Right? Yeah. And the ones that are like, I'm good, never ask how I could do better.
Right.
And the thing is, I can tell you from my side of it, if they could just learn to do better, there are so many things that happen when you say something to the media that you shouldn't. And not that these are bad people, right? Yeah. But if they misspeak about these really important things, that's the headline.
Yes. Well, and it goes back a little bit to we talked about apologies earlier, and we have a blog post about apologies. We're all going to do stupid things and make stupid mistakes. You're going to do that no matter what you're doing. I've done crazy things with my books. I've done crazy things with my kids, the business, all the things, right? But if you can learn from them, or if you can go back and be, like in the case of books, okay, that one, what did I learn from this book? Sometimes I read reviews, and reviews are like, oh, I didn't understand. If you can read, if you can see the comments, see the feedback for what it is, and learn from it, go for it. Like the next thing that you do, the next child that you raise.
No, but but that's exactly. But it's also, quite often when if we put proposals in and we don't get it, we're always asking what, like we ask for a debrief to are we lacking skills? Did we not do something right? But we also learn, because often when we get it and they say we do debriefs, it's like, I know we got either we got on the approved list, or we got the contract or whatever. I ask, could we have it even though we got it? Because I'd like to know what it meant.
That's really smart,
right? Yeah. Like I'd like to know what made
what did we do well?
Yeah, right. Because that's sort of equally important to do. And I think, but the other thing to speak to sort of all the things you keep learning, and that's why honestly, when I ask, and everybody's always really nice, but when I make food, it's like, how could I do it better? What would taste better? Does this need more garlic? Does this need more this? And I really want the feedback, because I do some things really well. Other things
a lot of things really well.
No, but like, you're always looking like, how can I?
Well, you're always trying new things, which is challenging.
But also, like, feedback is good. And Paul is really funny, because when I met Paul, he ate Kraft mac and cheese and peanut butter, and he made this noodle thing with peanut butter and cream or something. I don't know. But now he'll say, oh, I think this was lacking there's some element, and he doesn't know enough like about spices
Right,
and stuff,
right.
but he's like, there's something here, or we're talking, and we were talking the other
interesting.
day, because I'm going to, and we don't often make lamb, but I'm going to make lamb,
Ooh.
right, because Easter, because you get to, because we don't often.
When is lamb happening? Am
On-
I involved?
Yes, of course you're
Well,
involved.
that's good.
Sunday.
Sunday.
You're away at Easter eggs on Monday.
Yes.
Yes, you're
So
involved.
what's Sunday?
Just Easter dinner.
We'll talk about it. Okay.
Yes, but
News
like
to me.
I was talking to him, and I was like, so with lamb, like scallop potatoes, mashed potatoes, lemon potatoes, and he was like, I think lemon potatoes are the right accompaniment, which is really honest to
that's
God.
funny. That's funny.
Before he met me, he lived off beans and toast and craft dinner. But
My husband was the same.
Yeah.
He had a couple things he cooked, but yeah. And I
Noodles.
wasn't much. Yeah, noodles. I mean, you know what? Like everybody, you can live a long time on starch. It's not good.
just for the record, Momofuku does really good noodles. Except
they
I
do.
gave these guys some, and they're like ramen, and it's like, oh, you people, they make really good
Okay,
noodles.
I'm more into it, but I like, I don't know, like I didn't grow up in the, like Ray remembers going to university and having what are those noodles, the Mr. Noodles?
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever. You just pour hot water
Yeah.
from your, illegal kettle in
Yeah.
your dorm room or whatever. And he's like, well, that's just Mr. Noodles. And I said, well, I don't think so. Did you use the sauce packet? Like, and I didn't grow up with that. So I'm like, oh, well, this is cool.
But you put,
Try it.
honestly, so you can get these, they're called Asian salad toppings. We're going to put a link to
Oh, they are
Momofuku.
good.
The Asian
Yes,
salad topping,
yes.
you put a bit of like peeled, like shelled edamame in. You put a bit of bok choy, which
Ooh,
you
that would
throw
be
in
good.
with the noodles, right, while they're boiling. So you throw it in.
Oh,
Like,
that
it's
would be
easy.
good.
And honestly,
Yeah.
it's like, I probably
And
have
then
them
that
at
chili
least.
crunch stuff.
Yeah, the chili
Ooh,
crunch.
the
Chili
crunch
crunch
is
people
amazing.
need to get. So,
Yeah.
and there are different levels of hot. Trader Joe's is my favorite, but it's hot. I gave you a Momofuku
Yeah, you
one,
did.
and that
Yeah.
one's good.
Yeah. Oh,
Right?
it's
Because it's not
delicious.
too hot.
I had that on eggs.
Oh, everything.
Recently. Yeah, it was really good.
Like, I used to, when I first found it, so every time I would go to the cottage in Vermont, I'd end up with like 12 of those, of the Trader Joe's ones that are really hot. But I was like
Oh.
putting them on cream cheese and crap. Like, I was
Oh, yeah.
putting them on
Oh, yeah.
everything. So that's why we have to do a Trader Joe run.
My sister gave me this delicious blueberry jam. That's
Ooh.
blueberry.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I brought it over. It's blueberry jam. No, not blueberry. Saskatoon berry, because
Yeah,
I come from
Saskatoon.
Saskatoon. My sister still lives in Saskatoon, and it's Saskatoon. And is it chili? It's a. I can't remember what the heat in.
Right.
Oh, I think it's a habanero.
Yeah.
I think it's habanero
It's really
peppers
good.
in there, and it is delicious. It's not a sweet jam, which is what my husband thought it was. Oh, blueberry jam. So he tried it, and then he left me a sticky note on it with just a unhappy face. He's like, I don't know what this is, but it's not for me. He's not a spice guy.
No.
But with cream cheese and crackers, oh, that stuff's
Right?
amazing.
It's really good.
Okay, I'm going to
You're
make
going
a
to
note
do
of
that.
that.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
other thing I have to say, and we're also just at about an hour, Roxanne.
What?
Because time with you guys goes so fast. So Roxanne got me this beautiful little bracelet, and you probably can't see it. So outside it says "Be kind," and on the inside it says "of a
Of a bitch.
thing that rhymes with witch."
Of a bitch. Be kind.
and then it's got our happy hour URL in it, which I think is really sweet. And I wear it all the time, but I had to stop wearing it to bed because I kept hitting myself on the head with it.
I have mine with your
Yeah,
bracelet.
with
that
the
you brought me
bracelet
back
from Africa. See?
Yeah.
And I have, so the other thing, I talked about this when I made bulrush soup, which was all a lie because apparently there's no bulrush soup. So I made some kind of soup. Maybe it was dandelion soup. I'm going to have to see. There's no bulrush soup in here.
What are bulrushes?
But also, they grow.
Well, cattails. I know what cattails are.
Yeah, those are not that.
And bulrushes are the thing that somebody in the Bible used. There's a whole fertility thing.
Cattails and bulrushes are the same. Pussy willows are different.
Oh, pussy willows, that's a whole different
Okay,
thing.
so yeah, cattails and bulrushes are
Okay,
the same.
bulrushes, I think, have a connection to fertility in ancient mythology.
Because
I
they
think-
look like penises. That's why.
You might be right. That's weird.
But I was obsessed when I was, I don't know, it was either just preteen or a teen. I was for like, I think I said in the last podcast for a few weeks. I think it was the summer of my poor freaking parents. I was out like foraging in the bush and stuff. But I was a patient teen because I went into this. These recipes aren't listed like recipes. You got to read the whole freaking chapter to get the
Stalking
recipes.
the Wild Asparagus
Stalking
by
the Wild
Yule
Asparagus
Gibbons.
by Yule. But I was obsessed with this, so I was happy
That
to
is
find it on
amazing. Like
Amazon.
at that age, to already know that you've got that interest in cooking, and the wilderness stuff. Like the wilderness stuff, I was telling Ruth before we started this, I mentioned this book called The Blue Castle by Lucy Maud Montgomery. In that story, there is a thread that goes through, a storyline that goes through about a book that she reads by a naturalist that is like the Ewell Gibbons.
Yeah.
I'm like, which one came first? Because Ewell
Right?
Gibbons this book was written in 1962, and The Blue Castle was written in 1926, so it came first. But
Right? But it's an interesting book. I am going to make something, and we will photograph it, because I'm going to make something out of it, because I paid $22 for the book, and we're going to make use of it, man.
don't tell the guys what it is, though.
No, oh no, we can't. Oh God, no.
No.
So
Nothing good will come of that.
as you're watching this, we're in Sicily,
Ooh, that's
right?
right.
So we're really hoping, and we're definitely going to do some Facebook Live minutes there while we're there. But we're really hoping that we might even record a podcast that will come 2 weeks after this, right, when we're home. But we're going to try to record a podcast there, but don't hold us to
we
it.
might just end up recording some live
Mini
little,
stuff.
little mini
for
stuff.
sure we're going to do little travel logs, for absolutely sure we're going to do that. And also I think for today's cliffhanger that will happen 2 weeks after this, because we're doing every 2 weeks now because we can't handle every week. I would like to see some guesses about how many different kind of pastries, or how many pastries in total that Roxanne eats.
She keeps sending me these memes and these clips from people who have been to. I've never been to Europe. Okay, so I've never been to Rome, and she keeps sending me these things. Oh, when you're in Rome, you have to try this pastry that's filled with cream.
Oh my God,
And
so
it's
filled
like
with cream.
as big as your head. I'm like, I'm in. I will do that. And all of these you have to go this one and then this one and this one. I'm like, yep.
So we're in Rome I think we're there for 4 nights. We have a lot of pastries, but then we're in Greece and other parts of Italy, so we're having pastries everywhere.
Oh man, and pastry is just. Oh, I love so much food, but pastry is right up there.
Oh yeah?
Yep.
Also pizza though.
Also pizza.
Also
though.
Greek food.
Also Greek food.
And pasta.
And pasta. All the food. It's
All
gonna
the
be
food in
amazing.
these places. It really is, but we are going to, if you guys want to follow along, we will do our best. Our Facebook Lives might be no, it might not be. It's only 8 hours.
And we're not sure exactly about what the Wi-Fi will be like on the cruise ship. Sometimes it's not
it'll be
great.
fine.
Says you.
We work from there.
I had the last time we were we were actually on our China trip, and I had a book releasing while we were away, and I had a thing happening, like an event, and they needed information from me, like, I usually submit it ahead of time, and it ended up I was in some hotel room in China desperately trying to get our VPN, our virtual
Right.
whatever it's
Right.
called, to work so that I could send this information over, and I have nothing like that going on for this trip.
But also, China is a very different country
China's-
for trying to get
yes,
information out.
absolutely.
Although I can remember Paul and I were, and I'm trying to think. I think it was in Guatemala, and we did this amazing tour with Bike Hike Adventures, which is an incredible Canadian company, and we will absolutely tag them. But we were in Guatemala, and as we came up, like we were going up this kind of hill, because we were going to stay in this really cool, like, luxury tented place that was, and except as we're going up, he's like, so, after we hit this hill, there's no Wi-Fi. That's what my face did, man. Like, I was like, what? And so part of it is work issues and crisis, but also like our dogs and life and also I'm a little addicted.
Anxiety.
Yeah, right. But it was kind of like, and it was it was really hard and also really great. Right?
To be completely
Because you had no
unplugged.
choice.
And we used to live like that all the time. Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember being young and wanting some guy to ask you out and having to go to the freaking payphone in the bar and call the bar to check your
100%.
answering machine.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
Like actually that's just a bad memory I've had because I'm too young. But
It's a wrinkle in time.
so the other thing that the lodges were going, so I'm trying to convince Roxanne and Ray to come to Africa with me. But
I screamed about a bug, and I never told you about this. In the bathroom, I was getting ready
Your
for bed.
bathroom?
Yes, I'm getting ready for bed, and I got on my eye drops, and I lifted the lid to my eye drops, and at the same time, a stink bug fell into the sink. hit my hand on the way down. I don't know where it came from. In my mind, it's attached to my eye drops, which makes no sense. And I screamed, and my husband did nothing because he was in bed, and he's, quite familiar with me and my bug thing. So,
And she screams a lot, just saying.
Yep. It's an involuntary reaction. What can I say? And I'm like, a stink bug just fell out of my eye drops. I don't know where it came from. And he said, and you want to go to Africa?
Oh my God, don't listen to him.
That was his response.
Don't listen to him.
His
Anyway,
response.
in Africa, you have Wi-Fi in your room.
Okay.
You don't have it in the lodge where everybody gathers because they don't want everybody on their phones there. They
that
want it
makes
to be
sense.
engaging,
Yeah.
which is really great. But you do have it in your room so you can do all the things.
It's perfect.
It is perfect,
Yeah.
right?
There you go.
See? Oh, I promise you'll be fine.
Bugs, Ruth. But I also want to go to the
Lions.
Amazon. I also want to go to Central America, which is where all the bugs come from.
Okay, seriously?
I know. It makes...
Africa's way easier.
I know. Yeah. I have there's no logic. There's no logic. I claim nothing.
And she's coming to Africa, just saying.
We'll see.
We'll figure it out.
We'll see.
Nope.
But
say
you know
yes.
what?
Just say yes.
I'm very interested, and I'm open. I am open to what the world is bringing me. At this point, we'll see where it goes.
You just watch me.
Okay, so let's talk about gratefuls.
Okay, we have to do gratefuls because we're now at 1 hour and 5 minutes, and
whatever.
we're trying to.
So somebody on Facebook was talking about books that they remembered from when they were children.
Oh, that's good.
And they mentioned this one called Mrs. Mike, and I went upstairs into my little library, and I found my copy. Okay, you guys, you can't.
Oh my God,
probably
you should
appreciate
see.
how old
We're
this
gonna put
is.
a photo. We're gonna
It's
put a photo.
Taped,
It's old,
like
and it's taped,
falling
and
apart. It's yellow paper.
and honestly, I have glasses on, and I can hardly read that typing.
Oh, and it used to belong to
Debbie Napkick.
Knappick.
Knappick.
Yeah, because I bought a lot of used books, and this one was $1 when I bought it. Anyway, this is just a beautiful love story, great story that was hugely impactful for me at the time. Somebody mentioned it as their favorite book of all time, and I went, "Oh, Mrs. Mike! I remember Mrs. Mike.
That's
In fact,
awesome.
I think I have it." And then I went up to my shelf, and I found Paul Gallico's book called Jenny, which is the unforgettable adventures of a small boy changed into a stray cat and befriended by the indomitable Jenny, who initiates him to the lore of London streets.
Aww.
Completely anthropomorphizing cat life, but I'm a huge cat lover, even though I don't have cats anymore. And this has brilliant cat behavior. So, whatever he knows about cats, he nailed it in here.
Yeah.
He's got the right
So
stuff.
God help any writer that works with Roxanne that uses animals because she owned a veterinary clinic.
I will not tolerate bad stuff in there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, many of us remember this one.
What? Oh, the Incredible Journey. Yeah.
Also.
Oh, that's a good one.
And this is. So, people talk about romance like, oh, I don't read romance. You know what? If you read this, you read romance. If you read this, you read romance. Love stories are everywhere. This is a love story. Yep. It is one of the most basic human things. So I am grateful for books today.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm not quite sure. You know what? I'm grateful for writers like Roxanne, but I think there is really something, especially when you're an introvert. The world of books brings you so much, and I think that's just it. And you can. I get along better with readers, and when I talk to Roxanne, she is a much bigger, wider depth, deeper reader. Honestly, these days,
I read a lot of stuff.
You read also across all genres.
I read
right?
fast, and I don't remember very much. So,
but I also think about even a book that maybe doesn't land. I've seen, and I think I had a respect for it because I know what it takes to freaking write a news release or write a little magazine article or even honestly shorter articles are harder than longer features.
True.
But in magazines, but for a book, for someone to carry the plot line through, so when you get a good book, and you're at that last 3 chapters, it feels like you're losing your you want to finish the book, but you also don't want to finish the book.
I've got my Kindle, and I make sure that I'm looking at the amount of time left in the book. Oh, 35 minutes. Oh, I can't stay awake that long, but there's this much left. I have to time it exactly so that, and then it still doesn't work because I'm thinking about the book. I might as well stay up reading it.
Well, the feeling when you've read a book that was so good and meant so much, and whether that was it just took you away for a minute or it actually made you, I mean, I've had books that made me rethink my entire life, right? And not necessarily self-help books, right? Like there's a book and it was about, it was My Life With, oh my God, I'm going to forget it. My Life With, and it was Roosevelt. What was the female Roosevelt? Oh my God, that's awful. Eleanor. My Life With Eleanor is a book that completely, I loved that book. And also learned a lot about Eleanor Roosevelt. But you know what? The work it takes for those of us who don't write books and
Oh, you have a book in you yet. We'll get it out.
but you know, like
it'll be an exorcism.
What it is because my book's about a serial killer. But to watch you go through the process, and it matters so much, and she doesn't tell me too much because I'm one of her readers, right? So she's quite respectful of me as a reader. Is like she'll talk about the concepts in general, but you don't say, I'm having a really hard time because, you know, character name here is not doing this with character name here. And I thank you because I have her second book now and I'm saving it for our vacation. And you know what she said to me though? Don't read it while I'm in the room.
Oh, don't read that crap.
No, don't read that while I'm in the room. And so I said, I'm getting on the plane and I'm going to be like, hey, right? But
now I'll be like, oh, can you remind me, please? Because I need to know and I've forgotten it all.
But I'm grateful for writers of books because honestly, again, it goes back. Actually, what I should have said was it's music and it's Africa and it's books because books have also saved my life, right? And
Yep. I mean, you find for me the through line is story, and so you get that through music, you get that through books, you get that through art, you get that through experiences. Story is the thing. We're all trying to make a story of our life, and we are all the heroes of our own lives. And you know, to circle back to the mental wellness that we were talking about, I think a lot of times we don't know that. We don't know that initially, that we think that we're a bit player. No, you know what? You are the hero of your own story.
Yeah, and you're the writer of your own story, right?
And you get to choose how the story is going to end.
No, and
oh, that was dark.
But it's also you also get to say how the hero's going to act and react. Right? And it goes back to that. And sometimes when you can take yourself out of whatever it is you're feeling when it's challenging, is you can take yourself out and you can become the observer as opposed to the, right? And take yourself out of it. I love
that.
Right?
You've mentioned that before, the observer.
Because in most interactions, there's the observer, there's the victim, there's the hero, and there's another one in there. But it's like if you can take yourself out to be the observer, life gets easier because we all want to be the hero. Oh, there's the hero, the observer, the victim, and the villain.
Ooh.
Right? And we never think we're the victim or the villain. Sorry,
nobody thinks they're the villain.
But the other challenge is somebody thinks I'm the villain. In their story, I'm the villain. Right? And that's exactly how life goes.
Yeah.
But if you can find a way to make yourself the hero with intent, that ends up parlaying into actions. Right? Like that's just it. If you can think of yourself, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to take the high road, which is not always. And honestly, I am definitely a work in progress in that way. Is because I don't always take. I sometimes have the mind where it's like I want to burn it down, and sometimes you have to take the high road. You have to think. I've often said to people, if you're angry and the action you take was on the front page of the Globe and Mail, the Vancouver Sun, or Rolling Stone, or whatever you read, what would you want that headline to be?
Ooh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What would you want your mom to think?
Oh, God, I can't think about that.
Anyway, Roxanne, what do we want more of?
Oh, we want more happy hours. We want more happiness. What do we want less of, Ruth?
We really want less bullshit.
Less bullshit.
Yep. See you guys in 2 weeks. We're probably eating Italian pasta somewhere in Sicily at this moment. Pastry.
And guess how many pastries?
Guess how many pastries?
Yeah. We'll put in pictures. She's going to take pictures.
I'm going to take pictures of everything, but you guys have to at least make a comment either on Facebook or on YouTube about how many you think, because maybe there might be a little prize for who gets it right.
A prize. There could be a prize.
A prize from Italy.
Yes, a prize from Italy. Thanks for showing up, you guys.
Yep.
You guys are why we do this.
It's exactly why.
And it's really fun to share our lives with you and to get feedback from you.
And to hear about your lives.
We want to hear
Right?
about your lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us things.
Yeah. So thanks for showing up.
Okay.
And we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, because we're busy drinking Italian wine right now. Bye.
Bye.